Hey guys, it's Evan from PC Gamer here with TJ from PC Gamer.
Hey.
And we're joined by Al Bickham.
Hello.
Hey Al. Over from the UK, from Creative Assembly, here to show us Rome 2. So what are we seeing right now, Al?
So what we're doing at the moment is we're playing through some early sections of the prologue of Rome 2, which is a kind of self-contained mini campaign, a sort of narrative-driven mini campaign, which kind of leads the player gently into the ways of the mysteries of Total War. So it leads you in and teaches you about the basic kind of usage of the campaign map systems and the interface, and how to use the camera, really basic stuff like that. But later kind of leads into how to play battles, and teaches you how to build armies and how to manage your armies and how to change your army stances and all that other good stuff that's more advanced. And then towards the end of the prologue, it's about around 3 hours long in play totally, but towards the end of the prologue, it kind of opens up a bit more into the kind of sandbox experience that you'd expect from a regular Total War campaign.
So sort of an extended. I noticed you didn't use the word tutorial. That has sort of a
well,
connotation.
it's definitely got a tutorial element to it, because it's ideal for newer players, because it's an easy lead-in. It sort of takes you by the hand and teaches you the basic steps how to play it. But I think it's useful and it's kind of fun for veteran players as well, because it's teaching you about the lead up to where the main campaign starts, because the campaign starts in 272 BC, but the run up to that is the Samnite Wars, which is the series of kind of struggles which led to Rome, ultimately taking control of the Italian peninsula and really becoming the republic that it was.
Rome is well protected from attack by a line of hills running inland. Any Samnite assault must come from the south.
So yeah, right now we're just it's teaching us about a little bit about cities and about simply how to use the camera and how regions and factions kind of work. So
what are the biggest things that somebody who's played past Total War games are going to have to kind of get their head around this time?
So there's a number of new features which existing Total War players won't necessarily be familiar with, but which will plug into the their knowledge of Total War games. I mean, politics is a new feature in the game. Politics isn't actually really covered by the prologue. Actually, I mean, it's something you'll come to when you start playing the main game. But that's a new system. It kind of represents more the internal power struggle of your faction as you kind of vie for supremacy with other families or political entities within your faction. So but right now it's just kind of teaching us the basic steps. So right here it's just literally telling me to move my army for the first time. So there we are. That's all fairly simple. And you can see just around the campaign map as well the level of detail here. There's Mount Vesuvius here, smoking away, ready to burst its lava onto Pompeii. But I don't think that actually happens in the game. But there we are. So there we are. So we've moved our army. We are prepared. We've stoppered the gap here. Basically, this is the road to Rome from the south of Italy. So all this is mountain passes are protecting Rome, which is up here, from invasion. But now, our character Silanus, who's our general in this. This is the guy we're actually playing. He's actually voiced by Mark Strong, the actor, who you maybe remember from Kick-Ass. Mm-hmm. And other notable movies. So yeah, we're just being taught about recruitment here. So we're just recruiting some basic extra units so we can buff up our army. We've got Samnite forces moving towards us here, so we can expect to be attacked at some point.
And you recruit, it looks like, directly onto the army now. They don't march in from the nearest city.
Yeah, exactly. So all your recruitment is done. You can see the guy is in muster mode. This army is now in muster mode. So when you start recruiting, it kind of it makes the army static, and they'll just sit there and wait until the forces arrive. As you can see, there's only one turn. We've got to wait until that unit we've recruited arrives. But yeah, you recruit from within the army management panel. So you no longer have that kind of sort of multiple micromanagement of various individual small units that you're gathering, moving, spidering across the map to kind of meet up with your armies. You just do it all from directly with the army, and if you're not in friendly territory, you won't have access to your core army units, your core in this case Roman army units, but you can always recruit mercenaries wherever you are in the world. so which isn't covered at this early stage, so I can't show it to you here because it's not in this part of the prologue. But yeah, it's you can always recruit troops wherever you are, which is very useful if you're about to go into a battle and you've got you feel like you're underpowered. You can just throw money at the problem and get some elephants in or something like that.
So it seems like you almost want to have one army that's just like your FedEx army, where you load them up in your core territory to get reinforcements to the front. Yeah,
you can do that. And as soon as you start sort of conquering other cities, you can start building buildings there and recruiting your own troops there as well. So you can, especially seeing as we've got we've got sort of methods in the game to help the player deal with the fact that the campaign map is that much larger. So we'll come to army stances shortly, but you can select an army and put it in. You can change its stance and put it into force march mode, which means it moves twice as fast. So you can cover ground at a much greater pace, across every turn by turn. But there's a negative to that as well. They suffer from a kind of morale debuff. To represent the fact that if they're attacked while they're in marching mode and they're not really prepped for battle, they're prepped for marching, so they're hastily kind of preparing for a battle and they haven't, they're not all G'd up and kind of keyed up and ready for the battle sort of thing. So, there's a downside to it, but it does mean you can move around the map at a greater pace, So here we're being asked to research our first technology, so we're going to search for supply reforms, and this will unlock ultimately this will unlock the various different technology trees that we can research. So there's 3 military trees and 3 civic trees. So siege there, for example, that's all based on, that's all technologies which will improve our abilities to knock down walls and get into cities, and conduct large siege engagements effectively. So
see, there's one called philosophy. Is that to win a battle of wits against the enemy general by
philosophy? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have to out argue him. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. In a very clever way.
Is there any possibility of ever getting troops like through these semi-impassable areas? Like if you think about Hannibal crossing the Alps and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean there are impassable areas and there are passable but dangerous areas like the Alps. So you'll suffer a much greater level of attrition. So yeah, you can make that option. You can take that choice. Right. So we've recruited some more troops. We're just going to end the turn here. You can see as is the Total War way, you can see the enemy troop movement happening here. You can see the fog of war at the edges there. It's kind of like the Bay Area actually this time of year.
Yeah,
the fog rolling in over the hills.
Yes. Exactly.
It's
we're still waiting for Bay Area Total War.
Yeah, it's on the cards.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're working on it. Right, so we're going to take a look at a little bit of city management and construction here. So it's telling us, the tutorial's telling us, the previous battle we fought, we sieged Capua and captured it back from the Samnites who'd attacked it. So, however, it's damaged, so we need to get repairing it. So we're gonna start the repairs, and we're also going to expand the city. We're going to create a new building slot so we can build new buildings. And as you can see here, that literally expands the city physically and creates space to build more buildings. It's just we're really proud of that effect. It's really nice.
Can you build entirely new cities?
No, you can't build new cities. I mean, there are settlements and cities on the map when you first start the game. So you can take settlements and build them up into cities. So we've got to build a workshop as well to improve the weapons and armor of all our fighting forces as well. So that'll be handy when the time comes. And I think we'll go and get some more troops in the army. We've got, there's a Samnite army approaching us here, so we've only got a couple of turns left until they attack. So we need to do a little bit more recruitment yet.
You're seeing the enemy troop movements here. Is that something that you need to have line of sight or have a spy to see?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see armies moving around the map as normally as you normally would in a Total War campaign. But the kind of key thing about it is that because we've got this new stance system, we can you can put armies into an ambush stance, which will stealth them on the campaign map. And it means that if an enemy army moves within their zone of control, the army that's in ambush stance has the possibility of triggering an ambush battle, which means you get, you know, an incredibly superior deployment position, and you can really spring a surprise trap on them. So that's a really good thing to do if you can. But of course, it's affected by modifiers. So, for example, you know, it's much easier to ambush someone in a forest tile than it would be, say, to do it in the desert or in the open plains. And that can be improved by the abilities of your general. For example, you know, you can increase your ability to spot an ambush coming in, or to actually trigger an ambush yourself if you're lying in wait. So, end turn, and then
The Lucanians are defeated.
our allies, the Lucanians, have just been beaten by the Samnites. So we're alone now. We're alone against the Samnites. It's up to us. So, and that's really what the prologue is about. It's, you know, you playing as Silanus here, trying to rally the forces of the Roman Empire and build armies so you can defeat these guys.
My grandparents always said, never rely on a Lucanian.
There you go. Well, she was so right.
Too soon. Too soon.
The wisdom of the elderly. There you are. So this is what it's telling us now is to change stance. So we're going to go into fortify stance. Now what you'll see is the little fortifications being built around them here. Now you'll literally see a little fort on the battlefield now, and this improves the defence of our men while they're fighting as well. So it's it's a really useful thing to activate if you're about to go into battle. So you can see some of the stats there. So you'll also get plus 20 melee defense skill for all your units, just simply because they're in fortification stance, and that's representing the fact that they've been told by their general to fight defensively and fight behind the walls and that kind of stuff. So but there's a number of stances. There's force march, there's ambush, as I mentioned as well already. So I think we're ready now. I think we're ready to take the attack of the Samnites.
Pick up your weapons, men. The enemy are upon us. 100 denarii to the man who brings me the enemy general's sash. To battle!
There we are. I don't know why he wants his sash,
Yeah, I was waiting for him to say head when I played that the other day, and it's like sash.
Well, I'd be like, bring me his breastplate. That's going to be really handy.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be handy to have a spare breastplate or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Or sword. Yeah. So yeah, Battle of Vesuvius. Here we go. So this is us, being attacked by in this kind of valley, which you'll see represented in the landscape as well. We have underneath the campaign map is now it's effectively one giant battlefield for the entire campaign map. And so if you have a fight somewhere, if you have a battle somewhere, you have a battle like 2 miles down the road, you'll still you'll move further on, you'll see the same kind of terrain features in the outfield just 2 miles away. So it's really it's a really persistent kind of full representation of the campaign map. So you can see all our poor Roman soldiers standing in the rain here. We're in deployment, so what I'm going to do, so part of the tutorial of this particular battle teaches you how to use skirmishers. So what I'm going to do is get my skirmishers lined up right at the front of my army here, and I'm going to take my core heavy infantry, and these are going to be the backbone. These are going to be the back line of my fighting force here today at this battle. I'm going to stick my general here, so his circular morale buff is, you can see the blue outline there, that's his kind of morale boost radius. And I've got a unit of Italian swordsmen here who are actually pretty nifty fighters. What I'm going to do is pop them up here in the woods and hide them away and use them as a flanking force. So, right, as the battle starts, you can see these fancy new eye icons here. These are kind of visual representations of the of our new line of sight system. So what this is really representing is that enemy units, the enemy currently can't see me. And we know from deployment zones that the enemy was deployed down here somewhere, but there's a series of low bluffs and hills here. So we're behind here. Anywhere, wherever the enemy is, they can't see us, and we're stealthed effectively right now.
On your left there, is that the fort that we deployed?
Yeah, so you can see it's got a capture point in it there.
Okay.
Now what we could do is, place troops in here and bottleneck the doorway there. So, but right now I'm feeling like I want to have the freedom to manoeuvre because I've got a fair amount of forces. So, so what I'm doing is just moving my skirmishers up to try and get a peek on the enemy. Already you can see the banners starting to appear as my my skirmishers uncover them, as it were. And you can see they're kind of fading in and out. So now they've gone out of my line of sight, so I can't see them anymore. So that's how the line of sight system works. See, we're going downhill. These are going to start disappearing.
The Samnites are sending javelins against us. They mean to disrupt our line before their infantry.
So it seems like we're definitely outnumbered.
Yeah, we are. What we're going to try and do is draw out his skirmishers and try and separate them from the rest of the army, and try and deal with those guys first before we deal with the main body of the the trained melee fighters, effectively, of his army.
We can use our cavalry to chase them off.
Thankfully, we've just been gifted 4 units of cavalry.
There
so
we go.
That's going to be kind of handy as well.
That's helpful.
And we do like a good flank round here, so that's what I should be using.
Who
them for.
doesn't?
Exactly.
Is there any meaningful
yeah.
difference between cavalry in Rome 2 and Shogun?
Only in that in that you've just got a much greater variety of cavalry which perform, depending on the cavalry, slightly different roles. So because Shogun 2 was a monoculture game, right? So you had your your kind of katana cavalry and your yari spear cavalry. Now we've just got a lot more kind of varieties of cavalry and different animals as well. I mean, we've got camels, and they horses don't like camels.
Camelry.
Right? Yeah, camelry. Exactly. Yeah. We got elephants as well. That's a form of a very, very dangerous form of cavalry.
Yeah.
Let's get these guys running. Right, where's my Italian swordsman? Right, I want to get you hidden away in the woods here if we can.
So while you're playing this battle, you mentioned about internal politics. It sounds like you're playing as a house rather than as a faction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Works?
So
Okay.
you've got if you're playing as Rome, then you've got Rome is the faction, but you've got houses within that faction. You've got the Julia, the Junia, and the Cornelia. All these guys are quite close now. So what I'm going to do is engage skirmish mode, and which means actually they're a bit closer than I was expecting. I'm going to pull these guys back. With skirmish mode, what happens is, you'll tell your guys to go and attack. So they'll stand at a decent range, and they'll fire their weapons. So slingers in this case, they've all got slings, and they'll then. If the enemy gets too close, they'll run away to a safe distance before turning and firing again. Although I'm just directly controlling them now because they're being chased. So, although these guys are stealthed away, I'm going to try and pull the because these are all his skirmishers. They're not heavy troops. They're mostly just javelin men. Lightly armoured, lightly armed. So if we pull these guys up here towards my cavalry and my hidden infantry here. So my cavalry is still stealthed, and that's So what I'm going to do is send my swordsmen in. Right, they've spotted them. They started firing. So these guys are hopefully going to focus on these guys, and I'm going to get my skirmishers to turn and start firing at those. So I've got one guy from my skirmish group who got separated in that battle.
He's the one with the banner too.
Yeah. Right, so my Italian swordsmen are getting tore in now. That's nice. You can see a small example of the massive range of new combat animations we've got in the game.
It sounds like they have a lot more situational unit barks and stuff too.
Yeah, they do. There's just tons and tons of sort of incidental little conversations I have amongst one another. It's really fun, actually. At the start of a battle, if you're just waiting for the enemy to come towards you, just get your camera down, lock it to a unit, and then just listen to them, because they're all pulling each other's leg and going, oh, well, I wouldn't give for a skin of wine right now, and they're just chatting away, doing what soldiers do, insulting each other's mothers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
It's all good. Right, I'm going to get these guys into a nice combat formation now. So I'm going to put them all into the flying wedge. So they've got a nice, punch through type of shape here. Right, looks like my Italian swordsmen have been they're being nobbled right now. You can see that they're starting to waver. So I might pull my skirmishers back a little bit further here. You can see the body of the main force is starting to approach now.
body of the enemy are advancing.
There we are. Exactly.
As if on cue.
Yes. I have trained him well. Right, let's get the cav in. Right, what I'm going to do with my cav as well is I'm going to activate Draco, which is one of their unit abilities. So it has it. Can you see this? It's had a morale debuff on these guys. You can see the effect happening there. And already, look, they're starting to break. And that's them, you know, sounding their horns and crying battle cries as they charge in. So, all right, I think we've comprehensively finished their skirmishes. So I'm going to pull my horsemen back again. So what have we got coming towards us? We've got swordsmen. We've got a mob.
Oh, good.
Oh. Angry farmers, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, look, being led by a proper commander there as well.
That's the guy that like somehow pissed off the governor.
Yeah, he's like, you get the mob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Trying to keep these guys in line.
Yeah. Yeah, you lost that last battle.
Yeah.
You don't get to play with good soldiers now. Right. What I'm going to do is bring my skirmishers up front as a kind of defense line. Actually, let's go and have a play with them, actually. Right, look, they're going for my cav. That's interesting. And they're downhill from me.
Yeah,
Now, you know,
charging uphill against a bunch of cavalry.
Yeah.
That seems like a sound strategy right there.
I might go and teach him the error of his ways. Now, the trick here is to not let my cavalry get engaged for too long. Not let get them bogged down in combat, because these aren't particularly heavy cavalry, and you know they don't stick around too long if you. Oh, look at that! You see that?
It's like bowling.
Yeah, that's you know, that's the mass system coming to effect. All our units have a mass rating now, and you know, if you're running downhill, you're going to hit that much harder, and if you're much heavier than the enemy, then you're going to knock them over.
Could you
Right.
charge a line of horses with a line of elephants and send the horses flying?
Yeah, well, you can knock them down pretty easy. Yeah, I mean, you'll certainly send the guys on the backs flying.
Yeah.
I don't think we do flying horses yet.
Maybe for an expansion
No
pack.
Pegasus.
Yeah, the flying horses pack. Yeah. Right, this is good. They've taken note of my major force here. They've spotted them, so they're going to come in and. Right, these guys are in skirmish mode still, so that's good. So they're going to scoot once they worried about getting too close to the enemy. Now I've got to just keep hitting and running with my cavalry here. Now I want to build some flanks here as well. I want to wrap these guys up if I can. I'm worried that my horses might need some kind of relief force here, because they're bogged down in that combat and they're finding it really hard to disengage.
Your very presence can sway this battle. Your words can rally and inspire the men.
So I'm going to use my general on cue with the commander there to inspire one of my cavalry units. So let's get it on those ones. So those guys are just going to fight harder and faster than they did before. But of course, you want to keep your general out of harm's way. You lose your general, and you'll face a massive morale debuff right across your army. Oh, look, you've presented your flanks, you fool. Look, there we are. Keep one of my units disengaged there. Yep, he wants to get to my general, I can tell. How my cav doing up here? Not too great, actually. Can I disengage them? That's the question. Right, let's try and get these guys enveloped. Yeah, we hope Samuel will fall.
Yeah.
That's kind of up to me.
Well, you were talking about the houses system before. Does that?
Sorry, yeah.
Did that work?
Carried away.
No. Does that work the same for the Eastern and the Roman and the Barbarian factions?
No, not entirely. I mean, the only two factions that have sort of multiple internal houses are Rome and Carthage. So,
Okay.
So Rome gets the Julia, the Junior, and Cornelia. And whichever you play will add, extra bonuses or extra changes to your kind of your standard faction starting traits. So you'll depending on the house that you choose, you'll have modifications to your faction traits basically. And Carthage is the same. Carthage has three. Well, they're not really families. They're more political entities. They're the Barkids. So Hannibal.
Okay.
Hannibal Barca. He was one of the Barkids. So you got the Barkids, the Hananids, and the Manganids. I think it is. So they're the three kind of internal families. For the other factions, for the Eastern and barbarian factions, and sort of Ptolemaic Egypt, you've only got you've got one ruling house basically. So there's kind of less to do with the politics, although you'll still. One of the key features of politics is dealing with subjects, who are these kind of characters who appear over time in your empire, which you need to deal with in some way, So you have to use your kind of political capital, expend it to deal with them. So you might have a famous gladiator appear, for example, who is incredibly popular with the people, and he's a hero of the people because he wins every fight in the arena. So you kind of want him in your pocket really as the leader. So what do? You'll get a list of choices about what you want to do with him, and if you do sort of keep him on your side, then what if your patronage just leads to him becoming more powerful and more wealthy? And I can think of a certain gladiator who caused his emperor a few problems,
Right.
Let's talk about the Servile War,
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we're doing okay here. I'm really, really looking for this bit to be over here soon.
These units we're seeing here are pretty low-tech units. We're not up to like the Roman legions yet.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So there's no kind of triarii, kind of super heavy veterans or anything like that here. These are your basic starting types. And with levy slingers, they're just guys with a bit of rope and a couple of stones in their pocket. There's no kind of there's no elegance in that in that piece of weaponry. There's no high design.
So with Rome and kind of the provinces, we have a lot of historical examples of how their military and their technology changed as they became more powerful.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm curious if you guys have gone into any sort of like speculation territory there with the barbarian factions, if they do a lot better than they did historically, if they will eventually get the same kind of higher tech units.
Well, yeah, I mean every faction has it has its tech trees, it has its it has its building chains, and there are top tier building chains, buildings in the building chains, for example, which give you access to high tech units, for example. So yeah, every faction has a concurrent sort of technology range, technology arc that it goes up to achieve higher level units effectively. There is an equivalent of the kind of Marian reforms of history in when you're playing as Rome. You get to a point when it's suddenly like you get a strong level of standardization and quality of base level of quality with your troops. So there we are. I did a lot better there than the last time I played it, where I got my general destroyed quite early on, and my entire army routed.
Yeah.
So that could have been.
Don't
worse.
want that to happen.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. So yeah, that's a kind of basic look at the prologue. Anyway,
Okay.
Obviously this is only a kind of tiny slice of the full campaign game. And it doesn't cover out absolutely every feature, but it's a good intro to the game, and it's 3 hours of really, really, really fun play in its own right as well. So
Does your progress in the prologue carry into the campaign at all?
no, they're separate.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a completely self-contained kind of thing. So and of course it's just you playing as Rome finding its feet as as the dominant force in Italy. So when you first start the campaign game, you play as Rome. It's you working out from Rome to sort of conquer the rest of the world, or convert the rest of the world, because we've got multiple sort of victory conditions in Rome too. So which is the first time we've ever had that. We've got cultural victories now as well, where you can flip other cultures. You can persuade them that your way of life is better. Go and play as the Parthians and go, yes, join our enjoy our Eastern ways. And you can win an economic victory as well. So you can hit a series of economic milestones and complete the game that way. And obviously it's a total war game, so you're not, you're not going to be without battles. Let's put it that way.
Right. You're not going to be playing Rome total money.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't have to choose at the start how you want to, which kind of challenge that you want. You can, if you realise that you're quite close to getting an economic victory just because of the way you've played the game, even though you've been playing you may have been playing an aggressive kind of game, then you can still opt to win under sort of economic terms. So.
Great. Well, thanks for the
There we
walkthrough,
are.
Al.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate it.
We're going to get him to attack the city, and I guess we'll leave it there, and then players can get their hands on it in 6 or 7 weeks. It's 3rd of September we're out, so
Yep.
it's not that far now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific. Thanks again for the
Good
demo.
stuff. My pleasure.